Yo, what's going on, guys? Kashi here. I've been making money online for the last 2 years, and I actually went from 0 to 40K a month in under a year. And I can tell you firsthand, the reason I had success fast wasn't because of a new strategy, it wasn't a new mindset hack, it was actually who I started hanging around on a daily basis. And when I started off in high ticket sales, I used to hang around people who said stuff like, just be grateful for a job. Money isn't everything. Business is risky. The job is the only way to succeed. And back then, I didn't realize it, but those little conversations actually program my mind. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why right now your friends might be the reason you're still broke, and exactly how to shift your mindset and your circle so you can finally make a change in your life. Cool. Now, the first thing you have to understand is most people think their mindset determines their income. It doesn't. A big part of it is your environment determines your mindset. You adopt the habits, languages, and belief systems of whoever you're around the most. And if your friends joke about being broke, they hate Mondays, or they call ambition and goal setting cringe, you will eventually be the same. Not because you want to, but because humans crave belonging more than progress. You're not fighting laziness, you're basically fighting for acceptance in a group that doesn't want to level up anyway. And a really good analogy to explain this is, imagine an aquarium, right? An aquarium filled with water and fish. Your mindset is like a fish, and your group is the water that you swim in. No matter how strong or ambitious or healthy the fish is, if the water is dirty or low on oxygen, it won't survive. It won't grow. But move that fish to a clean, oxygen-rich tank, it grows faster, brighter, stronger. At the end of the day, you don't fix the fish, you fix the tank. And the biggest takeaways you should have from this and how to solve this issue is do an audit. So literally go grab a piece of paper and write down the top 5 people you spend the most time with in your life. It could be your parents. It could be your close friends. It could be your cousins. Whoever it is, write down the top 5 people you spend the most time with. And then next to that, write down their average income, their energy, their motivation, their hustle, their ambition, their limiting beliefs. Write them all down. That way you have clarity on who are the people that you surround yourself with. And after you've done that, look at that piece of paper and really think that that is your future. These are the type of people that you will also become, because at the end of the day, you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So now that we understand how important our environment is, it's equally important to understand that conversations create conditioning. Basically, your income follows the topics you talk about. Every conversation you have, every dialogue you have, it's programming you, either towards success or stagnation. And if you spend your days talking about people, distractions, gossip, your mind becomes very reactive. However, if all you talk about is performance, strategy, opportunity, hard work, business, your brain starts searching for opportunity and solutions, and you're not just speaking this, you're actually scripting it into your subconscious. And a really personal example of this is when I started an online business, and even before high ticket sales, before online money, I surrounded myself with 2 types of people. I had like 2 group of friends. One group of friends, all we talked about was Netflix, TV shows, gaming, girls, going out, having fun. That was all we talked about in that group. And I had another friend group that was on the polar opposite spectrum, where all we talked about was goals, online money, business, self-development, fitness, gym, health, all those type of topics. And what I realized was every single month, I actually thought about who I spent the most time with. And on the months that I spent the most time with the friend group where I talk about Netflix and TV shows, I ended up procrastinating the most in that month. And what I realized was when I started spending more time with the group that was more about self-improvement, money, business, I actually ended up having the best months of my life. So biggest takeaway here is change the conversations that you're having on a daily basis and start talking about growth. Start talking about execution, and the money will start coming to you as well. At the end of the day, the people that you spend the most time with are the people that you will become. Cool. Now you know how important conversations are, but it's not just about conversations. We can't just talk about it. Even if your circle supports you verbally, if their energy is off, they'll still drain you. What do I mean by that? You can't build a high performance life around low energy people. Success requires clarity, certainty, and conviction. But negative, unmotivated people will make you doubt all 3. And you can't stay hungry when you're surrounded by people who are full of excuses. And it's not that they're toxic, it's not that they hate you, but they're just tired. They're just unmotivated. And that energy is very, very contagious. And it's super important. And a cool story that I can share with you is there was a time where I was doing, 40K a month in straight commissions with high ticket sales, and I'd have a record week of 10K or 12K straight profit in my bank account. And I'd call my old friends to go and celebrate. Dinner's on me, let's go have some steak, let's go celebrate and have a blast. And sometimes they'd say things like, nice, bro. Must be nice, man. Is that even real? Online business even work? Isn't that a scam? And those one or two lines, it killed my momentum at the time. Every single time it did. But what I realized was my friends aren't bad people. My old friends aren't horrible. They were just projecting their limiting beliefs onto me. And when I started spending time with closers, with business owners who actually ended up being the best friends that I have to this day, they pushed me harder. I didn't need any external validation anymore. And I fed off the group's momentum. And what I realized was you want to surround yourself with people that actually have your best interests at heart and want to see you win. So the biggest takeaway here is protect your energy like it's cash, like it's capital. And every conversation, if it feels like emotional debt, then stop doing it. Stop investing in it. You don't owe anyone access to your energy just because you've known them for years. So once you've controlled your energy, the next step is equally important, and that is your belief systems. That is your identity. This is very important. Basically, you can't think bigger and build something if no one around you does this. Belief isn't built in isolation. The amount of people that I see, especially 18, 19, 20 years old, that all have this hustler culture where you have to lock yourself in your room and not see daylight. That's not true. Beliefs are borrowed through exposure, and when everyone you know around you plays small, big goals start feeling very unrealistic. But one conversation with someone who's actually done it can rewire your belief system overnight. I'll give you a live example. And this is a really cool story that I'll never forget this for the rest of my life, was when I met my first millionaire ever. So when I started off in high ticket sales, I'm from Perth in Australia. For context, Perth is like the most isolated city in the entire world. There aren't a lot of people there, and there's definitely not a lot of people that start online businesses and that are into self-development. And most of the friends that I've made up until that point were either online, through Zoom, they were on the other side of Australia, they were in the US, the UK, so I didn't really know anyone. And one time, I actually connected with a founder, a business owner, who was doing 100,000 to 200,000 profit every single month. Now, at the time, my mind couldn't even fathom $100,000 a month. And you guys might be thinking the same thing. It's like, damn, it's possible to make 6 figures a month in profit with an online business? Trust me, I felt the same way. Looking back now, that's like nothing and it's not really a huge amount, but back then that was huge for me. And, God bless him, he actually invited me over to his house to network, to meet up, to connect with him. And I remember when I went to his apartment, it was a really nice apartment. He walked out wearing a Zara t-shirt and Zara pants and gave me a massive hug. And he was just a normal dude. 23, 24 years old, making 100K a month. I couldn't even tell. And that's when I realized that if he can do it, why can't I? And literally overnight, my whole belief system changed. I started thinking from, let me set my goals not to 100K a month, but $1 million a month. Oh, damn, it's actually possible. There's someone in my city. I can do this. And that was the biggest turning point that I had in my life. So main takeaways here is the exposure that you have will kill your disbelief, and get around proof. Get around bigger people, not people that just pity you and have small goals. Sweet. And once your belief system expands, there's one last shift that you need. Because right now at this point, your beliefs are better, you're making money, you're doing online business. I guarantee you if you do all these things, you will start having the biggest self-improvement and self-development period of your life. However, that comes at a cost. When you start self-developing, the people around you, you're going to outgrow them. So it's important to understand, how do you outgrow people without guilt? And what I realized was you don't have to actually fully cut people off. You just have to stop shrinking to fit in with them. I'll give you a live example. Imagine a field filled with flowers. Just flowers and flowers and flowers. Endless flowers as much as you can see. When one flower starts growing, it sticks out from the field. And that's basically what you are. You're this flower that's trying these new things, that's trying to start an online business, that's trying to become great. And these are your friends, the other flowers, and you're basically just growing and growing and growing while they're staying here. And when your friends start seeing you going higher and doing something with your life, they start feeling very insecure. And most of the time, they start feeling guilty that, damn, I'm not doing anything, but this guy's going and changing his life. And the easiest way for them to feel good about themselves is instead of actually leveling up and growing with you, most people end up cutting you down and spreading negativity so that they feel good about themselves and you're back to where they were. And honestly, it's pretty sad in this industry that this still happens, but this is a very, very common thing in Australia where I'm from. And, we call it tall poppy syndrome. But at the end of the day, how do you deal with this? And how do you actually solve this issue? You don't need to cut people off. So when you're outgrowing people and someone's literally cutting you off and saying negative things and trying to bring your downfall, slowly leave them. Slowly. You don't need to just all of a sudden go, hey, I'm not talking to you anymore. Just stop responding to them. Stop going out to dinner with them. Stop going to these parties with them. Stop being in the same friend circle. And as you stop and slowly slow down communication with them, they'll ignore you. They'll slowly cut you off. And they'll take the social hint that, hey, this guy doesn't want to hang out with me. And that's the biggest way. Because a lot of people ask me that, hey, Kashi, how do I cut people off without being rude? That's the best method. It's to slowly detach yourself, focus on yourself, surround yourself with better people, and slowly outgrow your friend group by, not responding as much and not going out as much with them. So main takeaway there is the people you surround yourself with are super important, but make sure if someone is giving you negative energy, if someone is praying for your downfall, cut them off. You don't need them in your life. Trust me. Cool. So those are the 5 main tips and main principles that I've learned going from 0 to 40K a month, having successful businesses surrounding the world and having both, bad friends or old friends and having the new friends that I have today that, completely have my best interests at heart. And that's what's really important. I know I'm beating a dead horse, but this topic is so important. I implement this at such a high intensity where anyone that I hang out with, even if they say one thing that doesn't align with my values or doesn't align with my beliefs and it's just a red flag for me, I'll never see that person again. The 4 or 5 people that I surround myself with in my life, I have a very small, tight-knit circle. They all want me to win. They all help me. They all have my best interests at heart. Likewise, I also want everyone to win. In some cases, I actually want other people to win more than me because I get more happiness from that. I genuinely feel fulfilled when I see my friends win. And that is the best friend circle you can have. And I know that's very rare, but I'm telling you, right now, if you feel like you're at a point in your life where, man, I'm surrounded by bad people, or I'm surrounded by haters, or I don't have any friends like this, trust me, I was there 2 years ago. Don't beat yourself up. Don't feel bad about yourself. I know it sucks, but stick it through. And I promise you, you will have the best friends in the industry that you can trust that you didn't even think you could have before. And the friendships I have now, I never thought I would have this 2 years ago. So if you're at a point in your life where you feel like you're surrounded by negative people and you want to be surrounded by killers, you want to be surrounded by good friends, good people, feel free to drop me a message on Instagram with any questions you have. I might be able to help you out. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.